It is my pleasure now to move to the second award, and this is awarded to Robert Collier Nusbaum, and it is the Community Service Award. He is being introduced by the Reverend Dr. Paul Rasor, Director of the Center of Religious Freedom at Virginia Wesleyan College.
Thank you all. Just my great honor and pleasure to present the 2011 Rumi Community Service Award to Robert Collier Nusbaum. I cannot think of a more deserving recipient of this award. You'll notice in the program that they've given me a little extra time. Yes. But, you know, it would take an hour to really talk about all of the things that Bob Nusbaum has achieved in his career. I'll try to resist. But I will say that Bob was one of the first people I met when I came to Norfolk about 7 years ago to interview for the job I now have. And it didn't take long before I realized that here was a man with big ideas and a deep commitment to seeing them through. Most of you know that his list of contributions to community service is far too long to even name them, much less try to describe them, and I'm sure there are plenty I don't even know about. But I do want to mention some of the high points just to give you a sense of how remarkable his career has been and how deeply deserving he is of this award. And I think that Bob's public service grows out of his professional achievements as an attorney. So we begin with his life in the law. He received his law degree from the University of Virginia Law School in 1948. I was 2 years old. Hadn't met him yet. But he's been a practicing attorney in Norfolk for 63 years since then, and he is still going strong. I think if we could choose one word to describe Bob's legal career, the word would be excellence. Profound excellence. And just I'm going to mention just a couple of the long list of awards and recognitions because I can't resist. I mean, they're just too good. Not too good to be true, but nevertheless remarkable. Bob has been listed in the best lawyers in America for a quarter century. And even more remarkable, he is one of a very small handful of attorneys who are recognized as best lawyers in 5 or more categories of the law. That's an astonishing thing. He's regularly named as super lawyer by the Virginia Super Lawyers magazine, and earlier this year, the Norfolk and Portsmouth Bar Association gave him their highest honor, just basically for a lifetime achievement to someone who has epitomized the highest standards of personal and professional quality, reputation, and conduct throughout their career, and that describes Bob. But his penchant for public service extends to his legal profession, and he's been involved in any number of professional associations and committees. And I think I'm going to pass over all of those and move on to the community service, though, because that's why we're here. Bob's achievements in community service come out of a devotion to community service, out of a lifelong commitment, and I think that's what we really want to recognize tonight. Bob has served on the boards of an astonishing range of civic organizations, nearly always in leadership roles, in fact, most often as president or chair, and not just in rotation, well, maybe in a couple of cases, but for extended periods. And here's just a partial list. Most of you are familiar with this, but some of you probably aren't. The Virginia Commission on Women and Minorities in the Law, the Eastern Virginia Medical School, the Diabetes Institute Foundation, Centera Health System and its predecessors, the Tidewater chapter of the American Red Cross, Planned Parenthood of Southeast Virginia, the Norfolk Forum, the Norfolk Symphony Orchestra, the Virginia Foundation for the Humanities and Public Policy, the Norfolk Public Library, the Library of Virginia, Ohef Shalom Congregation, and Virginia Wesleyan College. Just a partial list. But for me, The most remarkable thing about Bob's public service is its profound humanity and its rich creativity. Bob doesn't just serve on boards, he moves institutions in new directions. When he sees problems that need attention or injustices that need to be righted, he acts. And he not only attends to the most immediate short-term needs, he helps establish institutional structures that can sustain the necessary work over the long haul. And I want to just name 3 examples, a couple of which have been referred to already this evening, but they're worth repeating. As was mentioned, in the late 1950s and into the 1960s, Bob publicly fought against the shameful, massive resistance to integration of the Norfolk public schools. For the short term, he helped raise money to hire lawyers for the black school children and their families, and he organized business and community support for reopening the schools. And for the long term, he founded a program called the Aid Fund, which provided scholarships to African American students struggling against racial discrimination in Virginia's colleges and universities. In the 1980s, Bob responded creatively to the controversy surrounding the new in vitro fertilization program at EVMS. For the short term, he founded a group known as Virginians Organized for Informed Community Expression, or VOICE, to promote public education about this program. For the long term, he helped establish the Jones Institute for Reproductive Medicine Foundation and served for many years as chairman of its board. And finally, Bob was the driving force behind the creation of the Center for the Study of Religious Freedom at Virginia Wesleyan College. Bob first proposed this idea in a letter to college president Billy Greer in November of 1995, a letter I have. Won't read it. But it's worth noting that in less than a year, the center was a reality. I learned tonight that the idea might have been conceived on a beach in Mexico, and I want to learn more about that story. But it was expressed eloquently in this letter and persuaded President Greer, who I think didn't really take much persuading, but to create the institutional structures to see it through. So I can truly say that without Bob Nusbaum's vision and his dedication, I would not have the job I have today. So I want to close on a personal note just by saying publicly, thank you, Bob, for the way you model what being a good community citizen means, for your ongoing support for the center, and for your kind and wise counsel, and yes, for your friendship. So it's with great pleasure that I now introduce and present the 2000 Rumi Forum Community Service Award to Robert Nusbaum, super attorney and citizen extraordinaire.
My first question is how long I have for rebuttal.
When the red light comes on.
Well, I think the note hit by the professor about friendship is the key to why we're here. It's certainly the key to why I'm here. I've been privileged to have the friendship of some wonderful people in my life, and I'd like to pay tribute to some of them, lest this credit all seem to belong to me, because I think your friends have a lot to do with who you are. And one of my good friends is Billy Greer, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, the president of Virginia Wesleyan College. And I can assure you that without his enthusiasm and tremendous ability, there wouldn't be any Center for the Study of Religious Freedom for Paul or me to be proud of. But he's a great guy, and he deserves a lot of credit for my association with that enterprise. And I even still have the note he wrote me January 10, 1996, saying, "Bob, I love a bold idea. Thanks for the idea," and so forth and so on. That's the kind of guy he is. I also am very proud to be associated in this evening with Bishop Sullivan. I feel so bad that he can't be here because of weather concerns and problems in Richmond, where he found himself earlier today. But I'm happy to say I brought a picture to show him of Bishop Sullivan and me in Richmond about 8 or 9 years ago at a similar event where he was being honored by the Council for America's First Freedom. That is the Jefferson Statute for Religious Freedom. I want to say that another person, two other people I'd like to thank for their friendship. One of them is the Reverend Bob Alley, who passed away a year or two ago, a very distinguished Richmond professor and man of the cloth, who has stood for religious freedom in Virginia as much as any other individual, and influenced me greatly in the idea that came to me for the organizing the Center for the Study of Religious Freedom. I attended a lecture by Bob Alley out at the Virginia Beach Public Library shortly before this idea came to me, and it was based on what he had to say on that occasion. So he's a friend that we're all indebted to. He's the author of many books on religious liberty, and he would be honored here today if he were living. The other friend is my mentor for most of my professional life, and he's not with us. His lovely daughter is, Ms. Weinberg, sitting here. Ruth is the daughter of my mentor and late beloved partner, Alan Hofheimer. And it's his ideals and his sense of justice that has guided me for whatever I have done in the field of law and community service, and I'm very grateful for his friendship and will always honor that as one of the great things that's happened to me in my life. Thank you.
Fine.